Finally, the Lions have arrived, and like I said a month or so ago when the Lions team was first announced, I'm not touching it until they arrive in the country, because we all know what happens when touring teams get named weeks before they even leave. That's right, injuries happen, players pull out, something goes wrong, form, everything, players get dropped, and it all changes before they actually reach the country, which is why I've placed an embargo on the channel, on Lions Talk, until now, we can finally talk about the Lions tour of New Zealand, because they have arrived, the team is in the country, and for this first video in the 2017 Lions Tour Series, we are going to be running everything you want to see. We're going to be having a look at the squads, we're going to be predicting the All Blacks squad, we're going to be having a look at what I think each team is going to do, and the results, obviously a preview show of the whole tour. We're going to be having a look at every match, we're going to be having full play-by-plays of the match on Rugby Challenge 3 like we always do, and of course any other random content relating to the Lions Tour of New Zealand for 2017. So buckle up, sit back, relax, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on what is coming your way over the next month and a bit or so that the Lions are in the country. So first video of this new series related around the Lions will be a look at the squad that has actually landed in the country. So 41-man team has actually made it here, finally arriving a day or so ago, and we're going to be having a look through it, seeing where their strengths of the squad could be, and where they could possibly outplay the All Blacks, or where each side has their advantage. Of course, plenty more content coming up as well in the coming days, so don't miss out on that. Let's get stuck into today's video. First things first, we're going to start off at the beginning where things are won and lost. It is the front row, the tight forwards, the big boys up front for the Lions. We're going to be going through each player and seeing what they can offer this Lions team. Alrighty, so starting things off with the big boys that fill the number 1 and 3 jerseys, it is the props, and there are 6 selected by the Lions. Now, they're all coming from England and Ireland. No Welshmen, no Scotsmen in these prop selections whatsoever, and amazingly so as well. Leading on from that, 2 from Harlequins and 2 from Leinster as well, so keeping that continuity of playing together nicely and firmly together in this Lions propping section. So 6 names, we've got Cole, Furlong, Marler, McGrath, Sinclair and Vunipola in the 6 names, so plenty of experience, plenty of youth as well in there as we look to the likes of Dan Cole. He's been there, he's done that as well. Started all 18 tests of England's amazing run. Alongside him, a youngster who is really coming on strength to strength in this Ireland setup. He was instrumental in the game against the All Blacks where they won in Chicago, so he'll be one that they'll definitely draw on advantages to put on over the All Blacks. Joe Marler, he seems like he's been around forever, but is a great talented player, and he has had a huge battle in the English setup with Marco Vunipola, another one in this propping section. Jack McGrath, the second and only 2 of the Irishmen. Now, he's been around a while as well, but he's taken a long time to really solidify his name as the number 1 loose head prop in Ireland. Ken Healy has held that with a mortgage for years, but now is the time of Jack McGrath, 27 years old. He's still got plenty of time in his feet. Now, next up, we have the man who's fairly young, but amazingly hasn't actually started an international test. It's Kyle Sinclair, a big unit, a very, very big man who can move targets at will. He will be one to watch, mobile around the field as well, and a very good run of the ball, and has developed massively under the tutelage of Adam Jones. So he is one to watch this tour, but one that could really make an impact in 4 years' time in South Africa. And last but not least is Marco Vunipola, another well-established, been around a while but still pretty young as well. 1, maybe 2 more Lions tours in this guy's legs, but sadly for him the build up to this Lions tour hasn't been the greatest with injury and the likes. Had a decent 6 Nations, limited in some capacity, but hopefully we'll see some of the best come back out of Marco like we've seen 4 years ago if he can keep his game to the same tier. Unfortunately, the only Vunipola to be travelling with the squad with Billy out for the tour. That is the props. Let's move on quickly and swiftly. And to the hookers, 3 named, Jamie George, Rory Best, and Ken Owens. Now, 3 hookers that are slowly but surely moving towards that type of hooker role that we're used to seeing with teams like the All Blacks. The fast, mobile sort of player that still does a set-piece role very, very well. We're seeing more of that from the likes of Ken Owens and Jamie George even sort of moving in that direction. But it's Rory Best is going to be the one to watch, of course. Again, making the most of the absence of Dylan Hartley, who's not even in the squad, which means Jamie George holding the record for the most international caps without having a start makes the squad and has a good chance here of being deputy to the very experienced Rory Best. Ken Owens is one to watch though. He is very much the most Dane Coles sort of player that can move around the field and make an impact, not just at the scrums and set pieces. Okay, so we're done with the front row. We've had a look at the props and the hookers. Now overall I think this is an area I think the Lions should demand to compete with the All Blacks on. It's a very good group of players, and the All Blacks, they're not the most dominant scrum or set piece team in the world. Of course, they're very, very good at it, but it's an area that some teams have found that they can get an advantage in. The All Blacks have a very good pack, but this is equally as good from the Lions, and plenty of experience in there, plenty of players who know how to win as well, and with the depth, that's the big thing. You can start with a Cole or a Marler, but you've still got the players like Furlong and McGrath, or even Sinclair and Vunipola to come off the bench. It is very, very deep. It is very good, and it could be an area that the Lions do target. Speaking of areas the Lions could target, though, we'll move on to the second row. Now, there's 5 names here, but boy, oh boy, these guys are pretty good as well. Now, we see another pretty English-dominant area here, but I think the additions of the other nations into this little area does improve it quite nicely. So from England, we've got Maro Tolje, breakout young player of the year, of course. George Cruz, who is solid as a rock. Courtney Laws, he is a monster of a man. That's the 3 from England who can definitely make an impact. But it's what Ireland and Wales bring here, with Ian Henderson, who I think is one of the best second rowers in the world still currently, and Alan Wynne-Jones, who is just such a clever, smart, talented man. And really, he's like a vice captain without having that pressure of responsibility on his shoulders. Of course, Sam Warburton is the one with all that pressure once again. But we do know Alan Wynne-Jones, of course, does captain Wales, so has that ability with him as well. He is an older player, into his 30s. He can definitely make an impact when it comes to that responsibility of the squad. Now, Ian Henderson is one I really want to target here. I'm really a big fan of what this guy can do. Now, he had a bit of a quiet Six Nations until that final game against England, but that is where it really showed what he can do. And when he's given the right sort of ball, the right sort of conditions, he can make a massive impact. He's very mobile around the field, and he is definitely one danger big man that can cause some trouble for the All Blacks. We know Maro Tolje, young, very, very good, very explosive, can play in the back row as well. Versatility is key for this Lions team as well. He is one who is going to be around the park, and the All Blacks will need to watch. They've never faced him. He has never faced the All Blacks, obviously, but he's going to be a big impact player. He seems to be fearless, and it's going to be massive for both him and the Lions if he can perform at this level. Of course, the other 2 in the squad are George Cruz and Courtney Laws. Courtney Laws has done it before. Another player who can effectively play in the back row if required, a big unit. He gets around the field and does his roles very, very well. Again, another solid area for the Lions, but when they look at what they're up against, this could be one of the most competitive areas of the field. The line out, the set piece, the second row battle, Whitelock, Retallick up against the likes of Henderson, Alan Wynne-Jones, Courtney Laws, massive. This could really, really be big, and an area which could decide these games is the ability to win line out. If one gets an advantage over the other, kicks for touch will be the go-to tactic and could decide this matchup. Okay, out of the second row we go to the back row. These are the out-and-out back rowers. Now the Lions have picked 8, so we'll try and make our way quickly through these guys. We've still got no Scotsmen, and amazingly there's only 1 Englishman in all these 8 back rowers. So it's Wales who dominate here with 4, Ireland have 3. As expected, I think Ireland have one of the best back rows in World Rugby at the moment. So from Wales, we have Sam Warburton, captain, of course, he's going to be there. Toby Faletau, Ross Moriarty, very young, probably won't see much game time, but will learn a lot of what this is all about. Coming on Alliance Tour will be huge for him. And of course, Justin Tipperick, been around a while, always the understudy on the open side to Sam Warburton, but creates that depth that they really need. It's the Irishmen that bring the 6 and 8 power game to this team, with the likes of Sean O'Brien, Peter O'Mahony, and of course CJ Stander, the monster himself. These guys were huge in that win in Chicago over the All Blacks, and they will be again instrumental to playing that style of game and getting the Lions to play that style of game that allows them to dominate with power. The one Englishman who will help with that sort of role that the Lions and the Irish players will look to do will be James Haskell. He played amazing last year in Australia, hasn't rediscovered that same form, but if he does, he is going to be so dangerous. It is a very, very good back row. We know what the All Blacks have there. Do they compete? I think this is another area where the Lions could get a little edge if they perform. Warburton versus Kane. Tipperick as well, another one, but it's at 6 where it's going to be the likes of a Kano possibly as the number 1 at 6 that is going to have to do some real hard work to contain especially these Irishmen. Near the danger, O'Brien and Stander. They are just so good. It's got to be contained. If they go on bullocking runs, that could give them over the advantage line. Quick ball, recycling, bang, out to your backs. Defences aren't set. It's crucial. It's a big battle, and I think the Lions have the edge just on that one. And there's a 4-pack. Overall, I think the Lions will probably consider themselves just have the edge over the All Blacks in the pack. Just in the front row slightly, maybe not a hooker, but definitely the props and the back row. The second row is going to be the battle of the Colossus, the battle of behemoths. That is one to watch for sure. Set piece, line outs, that's going to be massive. Open play running is going to be huge as well, especially for the back rows, where that battle starts and finishes. Who gets that gain line advantage ultimately could win the matches. That is the 4-pack. Now let's move on to the backs, where this is probably where the game changes, where the All Blacks start to gain some dominance. And at scrum half, there is 3 players named for the Lions: Conor Murray, Reece Webb, and Greg Laidlaw. Of course, Ben Youngs was in the team as well, but he pulled out, family reasons or something along those lines, which called up the opportunity for Greg Laidlaw, the first Scotsman. Unbelievable. The first Scotsman in the team so far. But this is where I think the All Blacks really gain dominance over the Lions. Conor Murray, I think, is one of the best in the world. He equals with Aaron Smith. When those two guys are on form, it is an absolute battle between the two of them. But that's not where I think the All Blacks gain dominance. If anything, the Lions maybe with Aaron Smith, he's gaining form, but is he at that top level? Not quite yet. That's probably pretty even, I'll give it, between Murray and Aaron Smith. But it's after that, when you look at the All Blacks, what they have, where they go Piranara, and if they go for a Kurabalo or a Pulu, I think that depth is definitely on the All Blacks side over Reece Webb and Greg Laidlaw. Laidlaw very experienced and has done it all already. Great kicker of the ball as well, as is Murray. The box kicks from Murray, if he can replicate those form kicks from last year, it is definitely going to advantage the Lions. But I think depth at scrum half is going to nudge to the All Blacks with that explosiveness. They can bring 4 players the All Blacks could offer that definitely do have that international advantage. Whereas the Lions, I think really only Conor Murray is that next level scrum half. Now, fly halves, in the halves, this is key. 9 and 10, I say it every time I play a game. Fly half, scrum half, the halves. They are the key place for teams to win matches. Front row, yeah, but 9 and 10 are just so important. If you don't have the continuity there, you don't have that fluid ball out to your back line. 3 named here as well. We've got Dan Biggar, Owen Farrell, and Johnny Sexton, of course. Now, Conor Murray, Johnny Sexton. That is so important. That is super, super important for the Lions. But where I think the Lions lose out here is that game-breaking ability at first receiver. Beauden Barrett against these 3. Beauden Barrett will beat them every day in open play. No competition whatsoever. Speed, agility, just lightning fast ability to break the line. The big crossfield kicks that have worked so well for him in the Hurricanes this year. All Blacks advantage, easy right there. But on the other side of things, the Lions got 3 guys who can nail kicks, penalties, conversions, points, ticking up. Sexton, Farrell, Biggar, they'll all smash points from the tee. Advantage, Lions. Key battle, different areas. All Blacks will take 5, the Lions will take 3. It's really a tough one, but I think that the All Blacks take a slight advantage there, but goal kicking is back the other way. Those three, plus of course Lee Halfpenny's in the team, another one who can kick goals for fun, but Farrell, Sexton, and those two especially, I think they need to lift their running game if they're going to reach the levels of the All Blacks in that area. Dan Biggar, on the other hand, is a determined, gritty, nuggety player who will just do everything you need him to do, and he'll do it to the best of his ability regardless of anything. He is just that real thorn in the side sort of player. It's probably just a catch and pass kind of guy and look for the kick, but it's his determination that is going to be key for the Lions, and that's probably what's gone the nudge over the likes of Finn Russell or a George Ford, who are unlucky really to miss out. You could easily pick 5 fly halves for this Lions team. So advantage pretty much even there. Tries versus kicks, I don't know. What wins matches? Both do. So that is another big area to battle between the two teams. Okay, centres. This is going to be a massive one. This is where I think both teams are not as good as other areas. So the Lions have picked 6 players for this area. Now there's a good mixture between Englishmen, Irishmen, and just a lonely one Welshman in here. So we've got 3 from England, which is Elliot Daly, Jonathan Joseph, and Ben Teo. 2 Irishmen and Jared Payne. And of course Robbie Henshaw, and the 1 Welshman in Jonathan Davies. Now this is going to be key. Gatland has gone for a fairly big looking backline here, especially in the centres. They're all big men, some of them quick, some of them a bit fancy footed. The likes of Joseph, we know he can definitely twinkle toes his way around some things, but the likes of Robbie Henshaw, Ben Teo, Jonathan Davies are big ball runners. They're charging players who break a line. They don't slip through it so much, but they break the line. That is what he's gone for in this. Elliot Daly, he's Mr. Versatile. He can play anywhere in this backline almost and cover it well. Jared Payne, I'm not too sure. I've never been a fan of Jared Payne. I didn't really understand why he ever got picked for Ireland, and I really don't know why he got picked for the Lions. Not sure. He was rubbish when he was in New Zealand. He's got a chance to return, and you know, I'll be quite happy to see him on the team sheet if he ever plays for the Lions, because I just don't rate the guy. He's been good for Ireland, I understand that, but I just don't think he's ever going to be a top tier international player, and I'd pick any of those top 4, Davies, Daly, Henshaw and Joseph, before Payne any day of the week. For me, I'll definitely go Robbie Henshaw on one side, and then it's a toss-up between the likes of a Joseph and a Davies to fill in those voids. Elliot Daly, perfect bench player. He can slot anywhere. For Ben Teo, I think this is a real learning experience for him. But he should get some game time against the likes of the Barbarians and possibly some of the Super Rugby teams as well, because it does get pretty, you know, a lot of close fixtures at a certain stage of the tour as well, with test match, and a Super Rugby game right in the middle. That's when the likes of a Teo will come in very, very handy. And a Jared Payne, I guess, as well. He's one who could fill in that void quite nicely. Okay, so centres, who's got the advantage here? It's a toss-up. I think this is another very, very even battle between the two sides. The centre pairings, it really comes down to who they pick. Whereas Ryan Crotty is your Mr. Dependent who's going to do it, but who do they pick on the other side? It is really going to come down to selections for both of these two sides. Who starts at 12, who starts at 13 will decide the battle between the centres. Now on to the wingers. 4 have been selected for the Lions. We've got Tommy Seymour from Scotland. We've got another Scotsman in the team, Anthony Watson, George North and Jack Noel. Now, we've got speed, we've got finishes, we've got a bit of a power game in there, and we've got a bit of versatility as well. Now, we know Anthony Watson, Jack Noel can play at fullback as well, versatile players. We've got the power game of George North in there as well, and of course, Tommy Seymour. He's quick, as is Watson, as is Noel, and on his day, if he's not broken and injured and not feeling like it, George North. But I think those are your 3 big name guys. 2 Englishmen, a Welshman and a Scotsman. But for me, Watson has to be in the team. And the other wing is a toss-up between Noel and Seymour. North, he's got to get some form. For me, he's got to play in the Super Rugby games, and he's got to play against the Barbarians. He's got to prove some sort of form, but straight off the bat, I'd go off the other 3. Wingers, I think the All Blacks have the advantage here. We don't have too many wingers that are in good form at the moment, but Julian Salvia, he'll squash all 4 of those guys without too much question and carry on his running game. Under the high ball is going to be key, and that's where we know players like Jack Noel can definitely do something quite special. Anthony Watson, capable of fullback as well, so he is a great counter-attack player. He is a great finisher. If they play the likes of George North, he could get targeted a bit at the back there. He was here last year with Wales, so that's something the All Blacks will be looking back on. Tommy Seymour, great finisher, but combinations with Stewie Hogg at fullback as well could be key for the Lions. High ball is important. Beauden Barrett at 10, he's going to kick to the wings. Seymour, Noel, Watson. I expect two of them to be your wingers for the Lions in the big test matches that start up. That's the high ball, that's the finishing of tries, and that is speed. That is going to be important for the Lions in defense and in attack. Counter-attack ability is crucial. Right, final position, it is fullbacks, and hopefully this quick look, it's not been too bad, quick look through the Lions team coming, oh no, they're here in New Zealand. 3 fullbacks have been named. I think it's a bit of a no-brainer here as to who's going to play. Lee Halfpenny, not the player he was 4 years ago, still got a lot of time in his boots. He has gained a little bit more form as he's come along through his time at Toulon, but I don't think he's the best. Stuart Hogg, he's the best for me. He is one of the best fullbacks in the world right now, and the best fullback in the Northern Hemisphere. Had a superb Six Nations for Scotland, and is key for that team performing. He is key for the Lions performing as well. Defense, counter-attack, high balls. He has to do it all. Joining the back line, he has to provide that impetus on attack as well. He can do it. We know he can. He was not too bad when he toured here toured to Australia 4 years ago, but he was no Lee Halfpenny at that time. The roles have changed, and I think Stuart Hogg is definitely one to be in your starting lineup. Alongside him, Tommy Seymour on the other side, they have to be partnered together. So that would be my wing fullback combination. The other one there is Liam Williams. Very good when Wales toured New Zealand last year as well, which I think will go a huge way to his stocks rising up. For me, Liam Williams would be my second pick because his counter-attack was amazing. Under the high ball, he was brilliant, and he's got to be in that mix as well. Give him some Super Rugby games against Super Rugby sides, and we could see what he could do. But Stuart Hogg is my number 15, no question about it whatsoever. So that is it. There's a quick look at the Lions squad that has arrived in New Zealand. The first match is just coming up this weekend, so no time to prepare. It is the New Zealand Barbarians who are hosting the Lions for matchup number 1. That match will be here on the channel as well, played out through Rugby Challenge 3 to see how the two teams go. But who would be my starting 15 for the Lions in this tour? For the first test match, providing all these players are fit, what is my starting team? Let's go through it and have a look. Okay, so selection for my first test Lions squad will go a little bit like this. The front row would be an all-Irish front row. McGrath, Best and Furlong. Continuity, they've done it before, they'll do it again. They demolished England in the last Six Nations game, and I'll back them to do the best job against the All Blacks. They've played before together, and they know what each other can do. So that's my 1, 2, and 3. In the second row, I'd go for a little bit of something different. Ian Henderson and Alan Wynne-Jones. Explosive ability around the field with that stock, know what you're doing, do the job, do it well, and Alan Wynne-Jones. Maro Tolje, superb bench player. Second row, back row cover, no problems with him there whatsoever. Moving on to the back row, of course, we have to have Sam Warburton. He'll start on the open side there, no troubles whatsoever. But the other ones, who do you go with here? Sean O'Brien at 6, CJ Stander at 8. That is my picks. Faletau unlucky. I'm a good big fan of Toby Faletau, but just Stander offers that something else at number 8. And you got that versatility as well. O'Brien can move in 6 and 7. Stander can go to 6 or 8. And you have that versatility with those guys moving around that back row. Onto the scrum halves. It's a no-brainer, is it? It has got to be Connor Murray and Jonathan Sexton. Has to be out him. No questions whatsoever there. Owen Farrell, he could push for a starting spot, but I'd like to put that 9-10 Ireland combination together for that first test and see how they perform against the All Blacks. In the centres, this is one that is really, really interesting, but I am going to go with Robbie Henshaw and Jonathan Joseph. Pretty simple stuff. Henshaw at 12, Joseph at 13, and you've got versatility off the bench with the likes of Elliot Daly or Jonathan Davies sitting there if cover was needed. On the wings, I've talked about this a bit already, but I'll probably go with Tommy Seymour and Anthony Watson at this point. Very good players, very fast, covering kicks at the back is good. Jack Noel would be my third choice if required. Someone on the bench with a wing experience, he would go there. And of course, Stuart Hogg, #1 fullback for me. I quite like Liam Williams. He'll be my second pick. Lee Halfpenny's got to do something to change my mind on this tour if he's going to get further selection. So that's my starting 15 for the first test for the Lions. There's plenty more Lions content coming your way on the channel, so stay around, hit that subscribe button. Do not forget to see when these new videos are coming out. You hit that notifications bell and get them delivered straight to you. Of course, follow me on Twitter as well. Let me know what you think about my Lions squad and what I think about the team at Cornflake Crib. You can catch me there. There'll be plenty of banter going on during this tour. But for today, that is it. What is your Lions team looking like, and do you think they can compete with the All Blacks? My predictions on each and every match will be coming up very, very soon as well, so stay tuned for that. And of course, your feedback is very, very much welcome. So get in touch and leave your thoughts below. But until next time, thank you all for watching. Enjoy the Great Lions tour, and I'll see you all next time. Until then, take care.